Hello, wonderful bookish family, and welcome back to Coffee Over Apples. Welcome to a rant video for a book that you've probably never heard of. It's called Mostly Hero by Anna Burns. And guess what? You'll never have to read it after this video. You're welcome. This was one of the worst books that I read in 2020 last year, and you want to know how bad it was? It was a 60-page novella, and I DNF'd it at 55 pages. So for this video, I will be cooking while ranting about this book, and I will be cooking.
We will be serving white cake.
A vanilla cake. This book somehow made it into the pool of book titles in the hat that was pulled for the science fiction book club in December, and let's just say it was definitely not a science fiction.
There have been a lot of lies set around this dinner table here tonight, but that you can't believe.
Here we go.
We could change the world.
On we go.
Alright, you guys, let's get started. So, first thing we have to do is we have to make the cake mix. So I have 2 eggs here, I have butter, which I'm going to use for the pan later, I have vegetable oil, and I have a whisk, and a measuring cup. So let's get started. Here is the first reason why this book sucks. Can I get this open? I should probably use scissors. I'm struggling with this. Am I struggling with it more than this book? Obviously not. Here's the deal. So, Mostly Hero is a novella, 60-page novella written by Anna Burns, and it is supposed to be fantasy sci-fi. Here's my first qualm. There was no sci-fi in this book. Absolutely none whatsoever. In the book, the only sci-fi element might just be the one paragraph in which our main villain rides down an elevator. What? 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 There's no robots. There's no space. There's no technology. There's no aliens. There's nothing in this book. There is no experimentation. I shall begin to beat out my anger now. There is nothing in this book that is science fiction. None of it. None of it. But I digress. I should probably tell you what this is about first. We're supposed to be following a hero named Hero, and his girlfriend named Femme Fatale, and her aunt, which is like the biggest villain in this entire world, and all of the characters are named after, I'm pretty sure in my anger I didn't even pour this correctly. I should have done the olive oil first. Whatever. The whole point of the story is that it's supposed to be poking fun at tropes within fantasy genre, right? I get that. I 100% get that. But I was bored the entire time. There were zombies at some point. Why there were zombies, I don't know. But they weren't called zombies. It was just that when a character died, they would start talking. So it was kind of like they never died. And it has something to do with the fact that the more of an evil villain you were, or the more of a hero you were, you could die an infinite amount of times. So like the higher rank of hero or villain that you are determines how many extra lives you get. I think that's what it was. But these characters sucked. None of the characters were enjoyable. The main female protagonist was from a family of evil villains who was known around the world for their villainy, yet she refused to believe that her aunt, who, by the way, I still don't even know if she was the grandmother of the main protagonist's boyfriend. So are they cousins? I don't understand. I think they're cousins. It's what it says in the synopsis. But I didn't finish it to find out. Maybe it was in those final 5 pages. I just couldn't do it anymore. She had so much evidence that her aunt was this evil villain. And she just couldn't believe it. Like, oh no, my aunt would never do such a thing. That's so mean. She's not a villain. And everyone's like, she's a villain. And the boyfriend's like, yeah, I'm telling you, she's my arch nemesis. And she's like, no, that's not possible. And from the beginning, she's supposed to be under a spell by some henchmen that were ordered to put a curse on her. This is what I get for not following the directions on the box. I just threw everything in here and was like, it'll be a cake. Anyway, she was put under a curse by some random dudes who were hired by the aunt, and so sometimes she goes under this spell where she's trying to kill her boyfriend, but then she snaps out of it, and she's like, what's wrong with you? How do you keep ending up in these situations? It was just repetitive and very annoying. The entire thing would have benefited from some chapters. It was like the entire 60 pages was just this continuing paragraph of nonsensical ridiculousness. I mean, we get to a point where a new villain is introduced, and I was like, why? Why do we need 2 villains in the story? Why is this even a thing? There's like a high stakes shootout at one point. We're in a magical world where there's superheroes and supervillains, and yet everybody's carrying a gun. Everybody's got a strap. I don't even know if this cake is gonna taste any good at this point. What is this? Apparently when I cook in anger, this doesn't even make sense. Is this video even going to make sense? I have no idea. This is like a soup instead of a cake. What am I doing? So there's like a high stakes shootout at one point, and so the hero comes into the evil villain's lair, and he's like, I'm gonna prove to you, main female protagonist, that your aunt is an evil villain. And the aunt comes out and she's like, I got a gun. And he's like, he's got a gun, and there's a sniper on a roof, and where'd this guy come from? Like, I know. Now that this cake is mixed, let's butter our pan. If there's anybody out there watching this who has actual baking skills, please do not come for me. I was reading some of the reviews online, And there were so many 5-star reviews. And I know that this is an independent author, and some people might say, but Steph, why are you giving such a long-winded rant review video to an independent author? That might be hindering their reputation for the future. And I was like, no. Do you want to see me care? Would you like to see me do it again? Sorry, you can't. It didn't happen. I don't know what happened, but a lot of the reviews online were saying this book is better than her other book called Milkman. And I'm like, if this is the standard, oh no, good sir. Oh no. At a certain point, we find out that the police force is made up of wizards. Okay, didn't see that coming. And, you know, they were trying to figure out the crime scene because there was the big shootout. Super long-winded, by the way, because it was like, we had this whole 2-page thing dedicated. The heroes and the villains getting shot and then slowly crawling around the building. Like, crawling to a slow, painful death and then explaining their whole reasoning for being a villain and whatever. And I was like, dude, I don't care. I don't care enough. Just die. What is this? Anna Burns, was this necessary? Now that I have my pan buttered and floured, I can now pour my poorly treated cake mix into the pan. Yeah, like, I didn't care about these characters enough to hear their whole explanation. I was like, can you please just leave? But the cops come, the wizard cops come, and they're like, what happened? Oh, I don't know. Let's ask a corpse. I was like, wait, what? I thought they're dead. And all of a sudden the corpses start talking about everything that happened. I was like, okay, so are they alive or are they dead? Are they zombies? I don't know. But nothing was explained. Nothing was explained. Okay, the cake is done. It is ready to go. It is cooled down, and we are going to cover this vanilla plain white cake in some white frosting. As basic as Anna Burns' writing. Okay, so I mean, if this video is not making any sense to this point, it's because this book didn't make sense. I feel like I'm jumping all over the story, but it's like, nothing made sense. None of the choices made sense. None of the characters made sense. Here's another point where things didn't make sense. So the hero ends up getting sick and ends up going to the hospital. And because he's the hero, he's like ridiculously good looking, I guess. And so all of the nurses stop tending to their other patients to go and take care of the hero. And so everyone wants to come in contact with him to like get his autograph and all this stuff. So the nurses don't pay attention to actually giving him adequate health care, that he ends up leaving the hospital having overdosed on some medicine, some shot or something that they gave him, and the main protagonist ends up having to take care of him and then talking trash about the different nurses. Like, which part of this scene did Anna Burns go, huh, I should put that in this book? That sounds entertaining. It was not entertaining. It was dumb. It was just boring. It was like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this, Anna Burns? Why are we here? Okay. Now for the finishing touch. We're gonna spice it up with some sprinkles. There was a certain point where I just couldn't take it anymore because the writing was so bland and I was so bored. So I guess it's a major conflict is when our female protagonist finds out that her boyfriend, the hero, was studying the villain, who's her aunt, for a ridiculous amount of, for whatever length of time it was before they started dating. So she thinks that he's using her to get to his aunt, which, I mean, he kind of is, but at the same time, I guess he likes her. But the whole point that bothered me was that she's in his house, right? And she's looking for a first aid kit. And basically the paragraph says that she saw a piece of loose floorboard in a corner of a messy room, so she decides to rip open the floorboard, and she sees a hole underneath, and she goes in, and there's like a piece of paper sticking out, and when she sees it, it's actually a piece of paper describing all of the details of the research that her boyfriend's been doing about her aunt and who she is in relation to her aunt, and she's mad that he has this information, knowing that he's the hero and knowing that her aunt is a villain. And I was like, what is the point? Why are we doing this? I feel like at the flip of every page, my question to Anna Burns was, why are we doing this? And there we have it. And here we have our finished product. This looks more easily digestible than Anna Burns' writing. Okay guys, if you like this style of video, don't forget to let me know in the comments and leave a thumbs up. I'm sorry that my thoughts are so incoherent. I feel like every time I try to give a review or a wrap up, it's just like, plot point, it was bad or it was good. Here are 0 in-depth reasons why. But other than that, I would call this video a success. Alright guys, I post videos every Wednesday and Saturday. See you next time. Bye! Not bad.
What's it making, Mr. Wonka? Mr. Wonka worked the factory.
In your wildest dreams, you could not imagine